Instagram is something that interfaces with Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, etc. And it's a really cool app if you're taking pictures of anything that's interesting to you. First thing that's cool about it is it will cross-post to all these networks at once. So if you're at a gig and you want to show people that, you know, here's backstage, or this is this, or something that might be interesting to your followers, fans, or friends, you can just take a picture and blast it out to every one of them. The other cool thing is that you can tag people and you can hashtag like crazy. So you can really get people, I don't know, you can get the eye of people you might not normally by hashtagging in a category that might come up in someone's search. One important thing about Instagram, and then I'll move on, is that you don't want to use it as like your phone's gallery. You don't want to just take like 100 pictures of your cat in like different positions, although that might be lovely. But you want to capture a moment and use it as your artistic eye. So if you're out in a gig and you can get a really cool shot of the audience and it's in a theater and it looks super cool, you can put some filters on it and that's your shot. That's your Instagram shot. People want to follow things because you know, they think it's interesting and it looks cool, the picture looks cool. So again, you know, try to make it look artistic and share your photos around and try to get the eye of some people that don't know you already. Depending on what your demographic is, Tumblr is another cool social network. It's not as much like Twitter, it's a little more like Facebook in the way that you write on it. It's kind of like a blog format. Basically, it's like your life in a blog, kind of like Facebook page. But the thing with Tumblr is the demographic is young. So if you're trying to reach, I don't know exactly what the demographic it is, but I would say 18 to like 27 or 8. And I could be wrong, so correct me in the comments of this video if you have some updated information. It might even go down to like 15 or something like that. And it might be a little older than that as well. But it's definitely a younger demographic, and this is important to a lot of musicians because you don't want just old fans or just a certain type of people, right? So most people want the younger generation to appreciate them as well. So a couple more things. Instagram, like I said, it works with Tumblr as well. If you upload an Instagram picture, you can say, put it on Tumblr, put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter, and all that stuff will happen. Another thing with Tumblr is that Tumblr posts can auto-post to Twitter. So this is like another cycle, right? So you can do, Facebook doesn't do that without plugins, but Tumblr does that just right out of the box. If you post anything on Tumblr, a quote, a video, a link, or just some text, it automatically will post to Twitter unless you unclick the little bird icon. If I was showing a graphic, you know, you'd see it, but there's a little bird icon and you unclick it if you don't want it to post to Twitter. Something important that I didn't mention when I was talking about Twitter is that it has a character count of 140. So you can't go over 140 characters. So that works for you and it doesn't, right? Like you can, you have to abbreviate your posts in certain ways so that you know, you can get it in this 140 characters and tag people, and you know, it gets to the point. And that's why Twitter has a very fast flow. Now with Tumblr, what I was saying is you can post anything to Twitter, right? So if you have a longer, you know, a longer piece of information that you want to share and you can't really get it down to 140 characters, you can easily put it in Tumblr. Like say you're going to write a little blog post, and it'll show up in your Twitter feed and it'll just have like a, you know, ... or, you know, a to be continued or read more basically in your Twitter, so people can see the beginning of it, click on it, and it directly goes right to Tumblr. Some people love Tumblr, some people hate it. My perspective on this stuff is, you know, what are you hurting? You know, I mean, you can cross-post a lot of the things you do with Facebook on it. I said it does really cool Twitter integration, which is hip. But, you know, you can just take your Facebook stories and like literally copy and kind of paste them in, and, you know, it's just there for another source. Again, a lot of this stuff has to do with search engine optimization. The more you have your your material out there on these different networks, the more it's going to get hit by Google a lot of the times, or random people might just find it. Again, with Tumblr, hashtag everything. It's a little bit different of a setup, but I recommend giving it a shot, if you're serious about this stuff. Google Plus, it might seem like a ghost land, and in a way, it kind of is right now, because there's a million users that have Gmail that are already on Google Plus, but no one's really posting, right? So it might seem like it's not an important social network to be in, but you'd be wrong because of one important fact. And that is Google is running the universe, and they run the search engines. Well, they run Google, and that's what a lot of people use. By including the same posts you do in Facebook or Tumblr in Google+, you're helping your search engine optimization. And again, SEO is a really, really important thing if people are going to Google you, and if you want them to find the right stuff. And this is what I talked about earlier. And Google+, Google owns Google+, so clearly that's search engine optimized. And I always repost Facebook posts in Google Plus just to have them, and then they get hit by search engines, and it's important stuff. So I recommend using Google Plus and being a part of it, no matter what. And maybe in the future it'll become a social network that's flourishing and everyone's on it and all that. But for now, it's still important to use it again, because it's boosting, your presence. Another network I'm going to get into briefly is LinkedIn, and this has got more to do with your personal networking. But again, this is an important social network that I kind of didn't understand fully when I first started using it. The cool thing about LinkedIn that's different than the other social networks, and that many of you probably already know, is it's really just a business network, and you're supposed to only add people that you've worked with or that you know through certain people. And it's really like a business networking tool. The thing about LinkedIn is you can't really interact with people the same way you do with Twitter or with Facebook. It's not really as casual a thing. But it can help you in certain areas. For instance, if you're a singer-songwriter and you're trying to find, management, or if you're trying to get licensing opportunities, this is a good place to start. You can actually find people that can help you, and you can see if any of your friends are connected to these people and exactly what they do. And this is something you can't do very easily on Facebook. The reason this stuff isn't as easy to do on Twitter or Facebook is because some people hide, their profiles on Facebook. I mean, they don't necessarily want you to know what they do. If someone works for Martin Scorsese's music department, they don't necessarily want everyone hassling them on Facebook, right? So, but on LinkedIn, that's literally your resume. Everyone has a resume on their page, so you can see where people are working. And this gets into my licensing background, because I've licensed music for a ton of, TV shows and some films. And I've met and interacted with a lot of music supervisors through LinkedIn. And basically, if not to get too deep on the subject, because licensing is like a whole different video, and I actually have a video that discusses that on the website, on my music masterclass. But to get to the basic core of it, if I go on IMDb, which most of you should know, and I search for a TV show that I think is cool, it has music that's similar to my music, and I want to get my music on that show, I have to find out who the music supervisor is for that show, or the production company, and maybe they have a music department. So I have to find out who that is and then get in touch with them. And sometimes you can do that easily. Sometimes you're able to find direct emails from people. There are also databases and lists of emails for directories. But it's just like life. Like if you know someone who knows someone, it's always easy to get, it's better to get introduced, is what I'm trying to say. It's always better to get introduced to a person than to you know, cold call, right? Or just say like, hey, my music's awesome, can you put it on you know, Gossip Girl or like True Detective? So LinkedIn, it kind of bridges that gap online. So if I found out who the music supervisor is for the show that I want to submit my music to, and I find them on LinkedIn, since I have a lot of connections, I might see that one of my connections is a connection of this music supervisor. So I'm only one person away from them. This is an easier way to get introduced to someone, or a better way to get that introduction, so you're not just like a cold caller or an outside person. You can actually get someone to respond to you quicker if you can get introduced to them like that. So you're essentially seeing who in your network already knows these people, and it's a very, very good tool for that. LinkedIn is a beast when it comes to search engine optimization, and it's a really important one. You've probably noticed that if you type in, I don't know, if you type in Adam Small music into Google, LinkedIn will probably be on the first page, I'm assuming. If you've tried it, I'm sure I'm there. And that's what's so cool about it, right? So it's like this online resume. It has huge, huge search engine optimization, but there's also ways to optimize it. Again, this is a whole nother video if I get into explaining like how to optimize your LinkedIn profile, but essentially the easiest way to understand this is to figure out exactly what you're trying to do, right? So if you're a composer for TV and film, if you write in TV composer in LinkedIn, who comes up first? So you have to look at their profile and then look at yours and see the differences. And then try to fill it in. And you have to think about how your words, this is basic search engine optimization stuff, but you have to think about how your words are worded, right? Well, that's for lack of a better phrase right there, but how everything is worded on your page. For instance, if you're a composer for TV and film, it should say that you're a composer for TV and film, blah, blah, blah. Like I've composed music for TV and film in another paragraph, and maybe composer, TV, film, somewhere else. The more, what I'm trying to say is the more it says certain search terms that you're trying to get hit for, the better it is for search engine optimization in LinkedIn. And this goes for like general search engine optimization or SEO, is that the more, whatever you're trying to get hit for when people search, try to, you know, make that apparent on your page more than once, like maybe 3 times. And try not to make it look like you're just filling it in to get results. Like you have to, you know, has to be like logical sentences and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm going to geek out if I go too far down the rabbit hole with that. Like there's all kinds of tricks you can do to make your LinkedIn profile really, really slick. You also want to make your network large. One important thing to note is that once you get past 500 people, it just says 500 plus. So you could have 501 or 1,000, it doesn't matter. So it's good to get to that level. If you can get, you know, try to find people you know and build your network, and then once you get past 500, you look like more of a rock star, and that helps. And again, all that stuff is really helpful when you're trying to get in touch with that manager, that record label, or that, you know, product, the company, the music supervisor. They can see that you have a lot of connections, a lot of experience, and you know what you're doing. It's imperative that you have a YouTube presence nowadays. And this is one of those things, like I talked about in the beginning, where people are recording things on their phones and they're pushing stuff out there for you. So if you don't go out and produce awesome YouTube content and put it on, like there's gonna be something that you're probably not proud of on YouTube, and it's gonna come up, and then you might be up for a gig and someone's gonna look at it and they're gonna be like, wow, that's not the guy or girl I wanna hire for this, because this is a crappy video. So it's really, really, really important to film yourself, or to have someone film you in the best light possible. And it doesn't have to be super high quality cameras or great production value, but it has to be something you're proud of and that represents you. And that's important. And you don't have to go crazy and do 100 videos, but you want to get a few at least, right? So that you're able to push out this other content, so that the first 3 things that show up when someone searches for you are really, you know, good YouTube videos. Because YouTube, again, has a great search engine optimization, and it's going to come up when you Google your name. Especially if it's like, if you type in, you know, your name and guitar or blah, 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 music, and, you know, it should come up. And just like the example I gave earlier about Glenn Sobel auditioning for Alice Cooper and getting the gig because of his YouTube channel, you know, I've been asked the same thing when I've been up for gigs as a bass player. People want to see you play. You know, it used to be that people would just want to hear you play. They'd say, okay, do you have anything that can show me, you know, you play alt country, or you play jazz, or you play hard rock, or, you know, whatever. But nowadays it's a little more complicated. People want to see what you look like and what you play like, because it's an audio-visual world we live in. So it's important, you know, like I said, I've had people call me up and say, hey, you know, I'm putting this band together, can I see a clip of you playing? And if you don't have that together, you might just lose the gig before you even get to the audition, because you don't have enough to show them. It's important for you to represent who you are in these videos and how you want to be perceived, and what gigs you want to get, right? If you're a sideman and you're looking for rock gigs and you're a drummer, you don't necessarily want to only have videos on your YouTube channel of you playing jazz solo with brushes on a Groove in 7/8 or something like that. That wouldn't help you if you're trying to send people to that YouTube page that, you know, that would want a rock drummer, right? Now that stuff probably sounds pretty obvious, but you'd be surprised. You know, a lot of people, they're after certain gigs, and this goes with anything. I mean, if you, the same thing with any kind of gig. If you're you want singer-songwriter gigs and you only hang out at jazz clubs, then you're not going to meet those people, you know? It's the same thing with YouTube. You have to put out stuff that you're proud of, but also it has to go in line with your, where you want to go, like where your goals are and what your brand is. Okay, that was an overview of all these social networks, and there's obviously more social networks, and there will be more in a year or two probably. There'll probably be like 20 more social networks, and I'll have to figure those out. But the bottom line is that it doesn't have to be that daunting. This doesn't have to be, like, I don't want you to get the perception that I'm working on social media for like 3 hours a day or something, because that's not true. A lot of this information, once you set up the architecture for it, it'll run itself. You basically have one post here, and you can translate that into Twitter, because, you know, Twitter only has, like I said, 140 characters, so you can make it shorter, hashtag some people. You can do one for Facebook. You can use that same version for Google Plus and for Tumblr. And again, it's like copy and paste, and it's not a big deal. It's more about just, you have to stay consistent with your posting. You know, people that post once a week or once a month aren't going to get, no one's going to listen to anything they write, because unless you're a celebrity or you're famous and people really, really care. But you have to be consistent. You don't want to be overbearing, but you want to be consistent with your posting. I like to post at least once a day, maybe sometimes just once a day, sometimes twice. I don't post 5 times a day, usually once or twice. But it's important to, you know, post every day so that people get used to seeing you around, like I was saying before, and people see what you're doing, and it's not hitting them over the head. Another thing that I want to say in this wrap-up, and this is something that I didn't say before, but is really important, is I don't believe in being a used car salesman on social media. And this is my view of it. And I'm sure that many marketing people would agree with me. No one wants to be friends with someone trying to sell them like Viagra in spam mail or something like that. It just doesn't work like that. You want to be friends, or you want to read posts about regular people doing cool things, and you know, who are promoting themselves once in a while, but not just trying to sell you something every minute of the day. So it's important when you post, like I was saying, post every day, that you don't post about yourself every day. Like when I post, and I don't want to post about myself every day. I'd be bored of hearing myself talk, right? So I like to post about other people. If I have a friend's band that I think is great, or a resource I found online, a really cool article that I think musicians should read, I hit people to that stuff too. A cool music quote that I think is inspiring or funny. Anything like that, like all these things, it's like, that's my personality too, but when I put those things on social media, that's what people want to read. And then when I promote what I'm trying to promote, people are accepting of that because, you know, I'm not an asshole, basically. Like, I'm not online trying to sell people things all the time, because no one wants to be friends with a used car salesman. So to finally wrap this video up here, I probably could go on for hours explaining all the details of, you know, every one of these social media strategies, and it would be much, again, more detailed than what I just explained. But this is an overview to get you to understand the power of this stuff. If this video is, you know, well received and you guys want me to break down some of these elements, I can make some follow-up videos and show you how to run a successful ad campaign through Facebook and get people to like your page, how to optimize Tweepy in your Twitter account, how to, you know, get your YouTube videos, you know, search engine optimized and hitting in the right way. And yeah, there's like a million things I could do, and I don't have time today. But again, I hope this stuff was helpful to you, and you know, don't get too scared of all this technology and intimidated is what I'm trying to say. Don't get too intimidated of you know, the daunting task of setting up all this social networking stuff, and how it's like artificial, you know, breathing underwater. And in a way it is, but once you get used to it, it's natural. Like I said, like, you don't have to promote all the time, and promoting all the time sucks. Like, no one's gonna want to hear that. So just be yourself, be natural, be fun, and try to grow your fan base. And that's a really, really important part about being a musician nowadays. I mean, everyone can play and write and do what they have to do to a certain extent, but if no one knows about you, it doesn't really mean anything, and that sucks, but it's the truth. So you have to put yourself out there. It's a necessary evil, and I hope this video helps, you know, make that a little easier for you.